Hello, everyone. Let me just make sure that everything is good. How is everyone doing? How are you guys feeling right now? Because I woke up kind of feeling weird, not gonna lie. You know, it's like new year, new me, or whatever. But I woke up just feeling like a bit bizarre. I don't really know. Honestly, feeling very Capricorn, very serious, very weighed down, I would say. Of course, I like to blame everything on my Saturn return, but it's not always the issue. So I'm just going to close my eyes and set my energy as I normally would. Okay. This is just to protect myself and to protect you guys, because we all tend to connect energetically very easily. Okay. I don't usually use straight sage, but I haven't made an incense mix in a while. So I'm just going to go ahead and burn this. Just to get rid of my bad vibes right now. You know when you just have like really bad dreams for no reason because you were reading like messed up stuff on Reddit before you went to sleep? And you just kind of wake up like feeling weird. That's kind of how I feel right now. Okay, but enough about me. How are you guys feeling? Okay, so as I was planning a live, I definitely found myself getting back to like the building blocks of astrology, which I like to get into the weird stuff always, don't get me wrong, but you know, being inspired by Capricorn, I was kind of like going in deep into what Capricorn really is. And I appreciate Capricorn. I have my biggest planets basically in my 10th house. My sister's a Capricorn. A lot of us have Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn. So it's been an interesting ride, definitely today. Yeah, I'm going to play this throat chakra bowl just so we can kind of clear any karmic stuff that's been coming up. I don't know what it is about, maybe it's because Pisces is associated with like letting go and surrender and the 12th house, but I've noticed like a lot of things like karmic ties have been coming up lately, and the throat chakra is like basically the karmic chakra. That's where we hold a lot of our karma. So wherever you are, just kind of ground yourself through your tailbone into the earth and just like kind of literally use your hand, wipe off the energy that's on your shoulders and maybe on your crown or wherever you feel it. And then squeezing the shoulder blades together, allow them to come down your back. And just lift the chin ever so slightly. And then breathing. Deep breaths in and out. Guys. Okay. So, karmic ties coming up. Yes, so let's talk about the basics. What is Capricorn? What is the 10th house? And let's get into the slideshow. What am I doing? Okay. Hold on 1 second here. What is going on? All right, well, while I'm trying to figure this out, here we go. Go ahead and grab your little cheat sheet if you have one. If you don't have one, let me know. I forget things very easily. So it's not that I don't care if I forget to send people stuff, it's just that I literally forgot, and I'm very sorry. It's a problem. All right, so great. Let's make sure that everyone can see me okay. And just make sure there's nothing going on also in the chat. It says chat disconnected. So I'm not really sure what that's about. Maybe it will just reconnect. Let's hope so, because I don't really know what to do about that. Just text me if you have any questions. Oh no! Okay, hold on. Don't look. Okay. So this is the cover picture that I chose. Yeah, how is this Jupiter and Pisces going for you guys? It's been very interesting, very ethereal. What I noticed about this new moon is there's a lot of septiles. There's a Thor's hammer aspect. Uranus is stationing direct later in January. I kind of wanted to talk about it. Hecate is also conjunct the asteroid Lilith. And this moon is actually aligned with something that is called the Star of the Sea, the eternal decree of the sea. So that's what that's about. And I thought it was really interesting. It was definitely awakening a lot and like activating a lot. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that too. All right. Capricorn, the Avalanche. So that is not my idea. We're going to talk about this book I always talk about, Astrology, Your Place in the Sun by Evangeline Adams. So I don't think I ever read the Capricorn part before. I'm going to be honest with you. I've had this book a very long time, but it's interesting because they compared Capricorn to an avalanche, and we'll talk about why, and I really, really liked that analogy. I do feel that, like, in the astrology community, and myself included, like, we don't quite get, like, what the signs are really supposed to be, and that's kind of something to do with, like, pop astrology and stereotypes. You know, I mean, you hear the same things, like, every time, like, Aries is war, and Libra is balance, blah, 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 but, like, there's so much more to it. It's so much deeper than that. So let's talk about Capricorn. Look at your chart. What planets do you have in Capricorn? What houses are ruled by Capricorn? Even if there's just, like, a few degrees of Capricorn in one of your houses, still going to be relevant. So the ruling planet of Capricorn is Saturn, right? Kronos. Saturn is Father Time. Saturn I call the tough teacher planet because he is. And it takes Saturn about 29 and a half years to go all the way around the sun, so all the way through the zodiac. The symbol for Capricorn is the sea goat. Capricorn rules the skeleton and the teeth because Saturn is rules, structures, hierarchies, somewhat boundaries. I do feel that like Aries and Mars is also kind of like boundaries, like the boundaries of like countries and stuff. It's more so like boundaries that you have to thrive within. So like you can't go here. It's like, think about a parent, like a father figure parent, a father. Say that they say, okay, children, you can go outside, but you can't go past the end of the street. So the children go past the end of the street. So the father's like, okay, you can only go 3 houses down now. And that's it. Like, that's your punishment, right? So, like, that boundary comes in closer. So the kids are good for a while, and then they go past the 3rd house. Okay, now you're not leaving the house at all. So, like, see how that boundary keeps getting closer and closer? That's, like, how Saturn teaches via boundaries. So he pretty much makes our lives difficult in a way, depending on how you look at it, so that we can thrive within those boundaries. And if we don't get the lesson, it's just going to keep getting harder and harder and harder. But if we learn the lesson, we get more freedom. It's kind of like discipline and how disciplining yourself and creating a pattern, creating a, what's the word I'm looking for? A ritual. I can't think of the word. I think you know what I mean, though. And how that's beneficial because you gain so much. It's like a meditation practice, like by meditating, by learning the laws of meditation, which is kind of Saturn because you're learning to like bring your mind into that boundary of like the present moment. But then once you get that, then you can go Uranus and like expand out and like reach these other dimensions and stuff. So that's kind of why Saturn rules the skeleton and the teeth. It also rules the knees, which I thought was interesting, and the skin. The knees. That's interesting. That kind of makes sense, actually, because the knee, if you think about it, it's like this perfect system bringing these 2 parts together. And it's not really supposed to go certain ways. It's supposed to work a very specific way, and that reminds me of Capricorn, actually. So the polarity is masculine, and the modality is cardinal. The house that Capricorn rules is the 10th house, which is the house of status, public life. Basically, it's the midheaven. So it begins, the midheaven begins the 10th house. So it's really who you are out in society, out in the public. It's how the public sees you and like your place in it. The element is earth and the gem is garnet. I thought that was interesting because garnet is actually my number one favorite crystal ever. I really, really like it. What else? Okay, so how to spot a Capricorn. This was kind of goofy. This is from this book, Complete Book of Astrology. Likes clocks and watches. I don't know. I get it, because like Saturn is Chronos, which is father time. Time is important, don't get me wrong, but likes clocks and watches, okay. Feeling very cynical. It's a Capricorn vibe. Bony knees, ambitious, okay? It's a good book, though. It is. That is the glyph. Now, I looked through a couple books. I couldn't find exactly what that glyph means. It's kind of been lost what that glyph is supposed to represent. They think it's probably like a twisted horn of some kind of goat that maybe went extinct because the symbol is the goat, specifically the sea goat, the mythical sea goat. And we'll talk about why also. Ruling planet Saturn. House, 10th house, element earth, quality cardinal. Already talked about that. Colors, black, navy blue, gray, and forest green. Flower carnation. Key phrase, I use. I thought that was interesting. Keyword is ambition. Okay, so climbing Mount Everest. It's really funny because for the last 2 days, for no reason at all, I've been watching people on Instagram climb Mount Everest. I'm like, wow, what kind of people? Like, it amazes me that people want to do that. You know, I have no desire to do that. And I'm like, you know, that's like a Capricorn thing. Like, they're always fighting this uphill battle. They always have some kind of struggle. I feel like it's going to be Capricorns that climb Mount Everest. Maybe. Because they're very, very ambitious. I put way too much lion's mane in that coffee, and it tastes really, really bad. Okay, so let me just check the chat. I don't know if it's going to work. It's not going to work. I'm sorry. Yeah, just text me. I don't know if you have a question. I'm really sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so this is from this book, Evangeline Adams and Aleister Crowley, Astrology, Your Place in the Sun. So let's talk about the symbol first. The symbol for Saturn is the cross of matter over the soul. Now this is really interesting to me because, I don't know, when I look at that symbol, like that cross is the cross of matter and the little like squiggly thing is supposed to be the soul. And I kind of see it as, because that symbol is also used for lead in astrology, which is ruled by Saturn, I see that as, you know, basically Saturn is like everything that weighs down humanity. It can be a little bit depressing like that, but it really is like that, everything that just weighs humanity down, and it's actually that pressure that basically helps us grow our soul. So like that's what that symbol means to me, and that's how I see it. It's kind of like a diamond, you know, how much pressure there has to be for a diamond to form. That's kind of how I feel about this. And it's interesting because when people have lead poisoning, I think it's called being Saturnian or something like that. Saturn is definitely in the word. I don't know if that's the right word. So let's read this thing over to the right side of the screen in white together. We're going to skip the first paragraph because we already know that. Capricorn is a very uncompromising sign. It is ruled by Saturn and Mars is exalted in it. Exalted meaning, besides its home signs, which would be Capricorn and Aquarius, Mars does its best in Capricorn. Did that make any sense? Okay, so Mars is exalted in it, so Mars in Capricorn. Besides Mars being in Aries or Scorpio, Mars is exalted in Capricorn. It does its best there. It is an earthy element, but it is active because it is a cardinal sign. The essential idea of earth is one of passivity and repose. For earth to be active is completely out of character. Earth and activity is not a symbol of fertility, of solidity, of ease, but of destruction. Consider how even nature, as known to the uninitiated, confirms this view. Active earth means the avalanche or the earthquake. The idea is a synonym for destruction. It is not surprising, therefore, that the tarot card attributed to this sign should be called the devil. We see, therefore, that earth itself in this sign is traitor to its own nature. I thought that was like so brilliant, and it blew my mind, and I didn't completely understand why Kronos was kind of like the Grim Reaper. Like, I could see it because it's Kronos, and he's a little bit intense and scary, but that really put it into perspective. Like, Earth is not supposed to be active. You know, Earth is supposed to be a foundation, but in the case of Capricorn, especially if it's like a low vibrational manifestation, it's like pure destruction. I thought that was really, really cool and interesting. This is also from the book. We're going to go to the blue box over here. Capricorn knows that to acquire any new aptitude is very difficult, that it is much easier to proceed within existing forms than to invent new ones, that it is much simpler to appeal to authority than to prove your proposition by the exercise of reason. So they would rather stay within the boundaries, within the rules, within whatever is already laid out, because they know that that's the best way to expend their energy, is to make that work for them. So that's why Capricorns are kind of like rule followers. They're holding space, they're holding the tradition, like this is the way that it is, and they use that to their advantage to get to the top of that mountain first, because they want to be up there first. They're a cardinal sign. They're very ambitious. Every Capricorn sun or moon I've ever known, they do stay within those lines, but they make it work for them, and they climb their way to the top, and they do it really well. And it's just they have the energy and the drive to do that. So the reason that Capricorn is a sea goat is because the fish can swim to the deepest depths of the ocean, while the goat can climb to the highest peaks of the mountain. Boundaries of reality. Rick Levine taught us that. So what's next here? We'll come back to the 10th house in a second. I really want to like get in like to our heads like what Capricorn really is. So I have a bunch of notes here that I'm going to read too. I'll just check one more time if the chat is actually doing anything. I don't know what to do. I don't want to start over. All right. Well, we have to deal with that, I guess. Okay. I have a lot of notes, so just go ahead and listen. And again, this will apply to you, whatever planets you have there, even if they're outer planets, and also the houses too. It'll tell you where this kind of energy is applying. Capricorn, very energetic, but not wasteful of any of it. So they really, really do not waste time. They're not going to waste time. They're not going to waste their time in a relationship that they know isn't right for them, at a job that is just freaking terrible. They're not going to waste their time. They use it wisely because Kronos, Saturn, is Father Time. They are intensely ambitious. They are meticulous, calculated, and methodical. Now, these are quotes from this book. I have another one here too. It is much less trouble for Capricorn, we already talked about that, to work within the limitation of his environment than to seek to change or transcend it. That's a job for Aquarius, is to transcend or to change the situation. He must ever be climbing, but he is going to do so in the conventional way, because that makes sense for them. Capricorn, they use the man in here. So Capricorn is the man who is never a minute late in 50 years, who never makes an error of a single cent in an account, who is always there when he is wanted with the precise piece of information required. That's how Capricorn is. Like, they're very reliable. They can be relied upon. They are trustworthy. And they want their employers to feel that they can be trusted and that they will never run off the rails. They have got everything together. They want to be seen as like a perfect working machine, which they totally are. I'm jealous. They can have blinders or tunnel vision because they don't expect the unexpected, right? So that's the next sign, Aquarius, is the shock factor, the tower moment. But when it comes to Capricorn, they don't really look at it that way. They see like everything is like a linear, logical process. So because of that, they tend to have tunnel vision of like, this is what I'm doing and this is what's going to happen every step of the way. They don't necessarily think about what the motive is, and they might not necessarily think about what might happen. So like they don't expect those sudden things, but when they do happen, they might resent it because they didn't expect it. They didn't think to expect it because they have a very like maybe blinders or like tunnel vision. They just see things in a very like linear, logical time kind of way. This book said that they're not very imaginative or a dreamer. Of course, that really, really depends on the other placements too. They are the sign of the specialist. This is interesting because my Ayurvedic practitioner that I saw last year, she is like the complete master of Ayurveda, and I'm pretty sure she's a Capricorn. I think I asked her. So this is another exact quote, and it has something good to say about some of the other signs too, which I thought was interesting. It is a singular defect in the native of this sign, Capricorn, that he does not push obstacles aside like Taurus, slay them in battle like Leo, destroy them utterly like Scorpio, or turn them to his own advantage like Libra. He merely leaps over them, and it is this detachment that makes him unsympathetic. I thought that was very, very interesting. Okay, so I know some of y'all have Capricorn children, so I wanted to read to you what it says about Cap children. This book also has like a little section for each sign to talk about children of that sign. Okay. Capricorn children are inclined to be very old for their age and too serious in temperament. They are very self-conscious, introspective, and fearful because Saturn rules fears. They should never be told stories that would have a tendency to implant fear in their natures, and they should be given a great deal of praise and affection. They are inclined to be solitary and to have very few friends of their own age. They are not only industrious in their schoolwork, but delight in helping out at home by running errands or in serving their elders. It would be advisable to give them a college education if possible, or to encourage them to obtain one, even if they have to work their way through college. One of the advantages of a college education for these children is the close contact with other young people of their own generation, which will help them to overcome their shyness and self-consciousness. Their education should be along practical lines rather than the purely academic. Okay. I think that's all that says. It's also saying how Virgos are naturally sympathetic and helpful to those who are Capricorn because their characteristics are complementary. I could definitely see that for sure. Taurus and Capricorn together, it's like two really, really stubborn energies, I think. Okay, and they do talk about cusps in here too, which I thought was kind of interesting. Cusps are only real because you tend to have, if you're on the border, you tend to have planets in both signs. Alright, so that is all I have to say about Capricorn. The house placement will tell you how that plays out for you. What area of your life, what arena of your life. There's probably a better way to do this, but it is what it is. Okay. Oh wait. We're not going there. All right, so let's go to the 10th house. Look at your 10th house as we talk about this too. So the 10th house is of public life because the midheaven initiates the 10th house. So this is who you are out in the world. It doesn't necessarily mean career. It just happens to a lot of the time because often our career is what we do out in society. But it literally could be anything. So it's really the expression of self in the outer world, which tends to mean a person's work or career. But it's not like technically like the house of career. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it could be anything that you are out there, but because of the way our society is, that's just how it tends to be. Everything ambitious, practical, security-making matters outside the narrow protective circle of the home, which is the opposite house, the 4th house. So that's the protective, emotionally nourishing home, and then the 10th house is the basically how you go out there to make that security happen. Ooh, that is bitter. Okay. And that is from the Modern Textbook of Astrology by Margaret E. Hone. Oh yeah, so this is my chart. So that's the 10th house here. So if you look at your ascendant, just go 3 back, and that is your 10th house. Yeah, as you can see, I don't want to talk about myself or anything, but I have my Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Jupiter all grouped together there in the 10th house. What is that like? It's like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm always very seen everywhere I go, which makes me nervous. And uncomfortable. I think that's the moon there. The 10th house also rules like your status, your public image. People with a lot of 10th house placements like become politicians a lot of the time, or like government officials, because they're good at just like having their face like out there and like working that. Okay, so let me see. All right. So the 10th house is Saturn and Earth. I want to talk about Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And just real quick, we've had this going on for a while. Uranus retrograde began actually August 20th of last year. It's going to station direct on the 17th. So when it's stationing direct or retrograde, we're going to feel those energies very, very intensely, right? So just kind of expect that waiting for the ball to drop, like kind of like electric, nervous, sort of uncomfortable energy, and a disruption of the flow for sure when that happens. But we'll talk about that as it gets closer. And it's actually going to move out of Taurus July of 2025. So we've got a while yet. While Uranus has been in Taurus, I've used this analogy a million times, but to me, it's like basically you have a plant, it's rooted in the earth, it's got like its whole form going. It's like grabbing that plant, ripping it out of the earth, shaking off the roots, and then planting it somewhere else. That's what Uranus and Taurus has been like, because Taurus is like our first foundation. It's like, well, I feel Cancer is like the emotional comfort and safety. I feel that Taurus is like the material in a way. Even though I just said that that's Capricorn, I do think that Taurus is more of like a family thing. Like I see it as like the roots that you grew up with. I see it as like how rooted you are within your own family, your foundation there. If you felt like you had like a solid like ground beneath your feet. So that's where we've been feeling really uncomfortable, and that's what's been changing like quite suddenly. All of our values, all second house stuff, all of our values, our roots, our goals, even like maybe the way that we see our childhood, like that's the stuff that's been changing. So let's start looking at the chart. So this is the new moon chart. I'm trying to think of an overall picture right now. So the new moon is actually going to be trine Uranus. So, it's it's very unexpected and shocking, I would say. This is Capricorn energy that we're talking about here, and Uranus and Taurus. So all of those earth things, and I think that what those two have in common is their hard work ethic, their drive, their determination. Taurus just wants to have the goal and work towards it. They don't care if they get there or not. Capricorn wants the goal, and they want to meticulously solve it, and they want to get there, and they will get there. That reminds me, I feel like there's something I didn't say about Cap. No, I said it. Okay. Just thinking about goats and stuff. So the number one basic aspect of this new moon is trine Uranus. Okay. And it's actually separating, so the sun has already trined Uranus. Now separating meaning that the exact alignment has already happened and it's like moving away. And the new moon is also square Chiron, which Sun square Chiron, that again has already reached its exact alignment, and it's moving away as well. So this is what I wrote in my notes as I was writing down the aspects. Something inside us hurts, and we have to work to figure out what it is and how to heal it. to me, there's like this feeling of desperation as well. That like we need to figure out what it is now and like heal it now. I definitely feel an impatience for this new moon, probably because it's trine Uranus, which is like very exciting, a little bit jumpy. So we have to figure out what it is within us that actually hurts. With Uranus, it's kind of weird because it just seems to happen sporadically. Like we'll just have that revelation moment without maybe having to do too much, maybe just sitting there and like meditating or contemplating the hurt will bring you to the source of it. So that's what I'm feeling like the major theme of this new moon is. I think we're all really, really ready for a reset. Not the great reset, the reset. And see, okay, so the new moon is happening at 12 degrees and 20 minutes of Capricorn. So where in your chart is that? Do you have any cardinal signs at 12 degrees and 20 minutes of Capricorn? So the cardinal signs being Capricorn, Libra, Cancer, and Aries. So just look to see if you have any. The moon squaring Chiron is a bit wide, but it's still there, and I still do think it's relevant. So see if you have anything around 12 degrees and 20 minutes of cardinal signs. And also Uranus, like where is 10 degrees, 55 minutes of Taurus right now for you? That's maybe where like the changes are either going to start from, or that's what it's going to affect, I would say. Chiron, so there's a lot of septiles. I said that earlier. There's a lot of septile aspects going on for this new moon, which makes things so weird and magical, in my opinion. This is the 7-pointed star harmonic. So portals, I always see this as portals. I believe that Venus is still, where is Venus? I believe that Venus is still septile, the south node. Yeah, it looks like it is. So we're healing a lot from past timelines. I just feel like there's something, and this could have something to do with Saturn being father time. Venus is forming a septile to the south node, which is past lives, which is past karma. There's something, I wouldn't say nostalgic, because it's not really like that like comfy, warm nostalgia. It's more of just like remembering things from the past that we need to heal, but we didn't want to. We were avoiding it, or we were trying to escape from it. That stuff is coming in now to be cleared, you know, and you know what those things are that you just have to let go of. We have this really cool like septile pattern here pointing towards Hygeia and Scorpio. So it definitely goes deep. It definitely goes deep and dark, and it has something to do with past timelines. Past lives, even in the past in this lifetime, it's things that you chose to let go of, or life just let go of for you, that you just didn't heal. You didn't feel it. You just escaped from it barely, and it's making me think of like the Death Reversed card, which I believe I pulled last Sunday for the tarot reading, I think. Could be making that up. It's like you just barely escaped death, right? But when you do that and you kind of avoid like the big change, you're gonna have to come back to it later. And it tends to just grow and grow and grow. And when we have like that heaviness just like weighing on us, like Saturn, and growing in our darkness, it just weighs you down and it zaps your energy. I feel with this new moon, a lot needs to be freed up. Like we really gotta get rid of like that baggage, but Saturn and Capricorn is not gonna let us just like, yeah, and like just throw it off and like everything's fine. No, Capricorn's like, you're gonna have to work for it, and you're gonna have to like work really hard to make that happen. Pluto is also biquintile Black Moon Lilith. So what I said about that, oh, I'm sorry. So the other septile is Chiron is septile, the north node in Taurus. Oh yeah, you can see it right here. Well, I kind of mentioned that. Oh wait, no. Where is the north node? Oh my gosh, I'm like not seeing it right. No, it is there. So Chiron is septile, the north node. It's pretty much the same thing as what I was saying. It's like healing the past timelines, where we're going, like what do we really need to release, like what is weighing us down, what is taking our energy, where have we given our power away in the case of Pluto biquintile Black Moon Lilith. So quintiles are the harmonic of the 5-pointed star. So I wrote for this aspect, Pluto biquintile Black Moon Lilith, getting creative in our healing process, harnessing the gold in our darkness, shadow alchemy. Now, what's interesting about the gold and the darkness, there's this whole alchemy thing about turning lead Saturn into gold. And I think that's kind of, again, like the diamond in the rough, right? So that's what the pressure does, and like those difficulties of Saturn. It really takes like maybe the weaker part of ourselves and like creates it, alchemizes it into something completely new and useful and brilliant and beautiful. White Moon Selena is also square Eris. Where is my Moon Selena? Right here. So White Moon Selena is also in Capricorn, very, very close to Pluto, so in between Venus and Pluto. It's forming a square to Eris. So when I was thinking about what this might mean, it's like we're in conflict with embodying our radiant light that lights the way for others in their darkness, versus Eris, which is like our warrior dark fire that seeks to destroy and battle our enemies. Because Eris is like the female version of Pluto. I'm reading this really great comic. I've been reading it for like, it's been a while, maybe longer than a year. Lore Olympus, it's like on an app. I really like it. They just introduced Eris. Yeah, check it out if you like that kind of thing. I don't read comics, but I just happened to find that one and I really, really like it. It's about Persephone and Hades. I don't know if it's like for kids, but I really like it. So White Moon Selena, which is lighting the way for others. White Moon Selena is like, as you can see, it's like the opposite of Black Moon Lilith. This is like our fiery, feminine, dark goddess, and this is like our healing, light goddess. I don't know what else to say about that. Lighting the way for others. So squaring Eris, it's like we're in conflict. Like, on one hand, we really want to fight, take our power back, of course, with Black Moon Lilith, stand up to our oppressors, but for some reason we feel like that's in conflict with the way that we are choosing to be of service to others and to help them right now, specifically like in a spiritual sense. So those are two things that we can bring together. It's a square aspect, but it just might take a little bit of effort on our part. Efforts, that's like the main thing I'm feeling here, like Capricorn is putting us to work, like we're not going to get it easy. We have to like really try. Mercury is also sextile the south node and trine the north node. Mercury is here in Aquarius at 0 degrees. So this is like thinking about our destiny in a different way. The Aquarius way, which is like the weird way, eccentric, the brilliant way, the scientific way. Just looking at things a bit differently. The south node is in Scorpio now and the north node in Taurus. So looking at our past in a new way. So after we kind of dive into the darkness and see like what are those ties we're holding on to, I think Mercury might mentally allow us to see things and to, breathe new life into it again. And finally, I don't have it up here, but the goddess asteroid Hecate, which is the goddess of magic. There's like 3 versions of her. I had a really interesting meditation with her. This was right after I started working with the Morgan, I think, too. She's definitely like a dark goddess. She can be very protective. She definitely does a lot of like magic and like disappearing stuff. She's a very powerful goddess, conjunct to Lilith. So the goddess asteroid Lilith. I'm getting ringing in my ears, so I don't know if that's she wants me to talk about her, Hecate, or she doesn't want me to talk about her. Is conjunct to Lilith. So there's definitely this like dark goddess energy that wants to come up, and for some reason it's like almost being conflicted with like the love and light in a way. But I think Capricorn maybe wants us, Saturn wants us to bring that out and like look at that and realize that like that's part of our power, and maybe see how those situations that put immense pressure on us and were so difficult, we never thought we would get through them, see how that really like shaped you like into the beautiful, amazing person that you are now. Okay, so there are some fixed star aspects. The one that I really looked into is called Nunki. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I want to say Nunki because that's like the coolest word ever. Okay, so this is Astrology King. I really like going here. I kept saying he because I figured it was a he because Astrology King, but Jamie Partridge. So she has all of her sources down here, fixed stars and constellation astrology. Also, just wanted to shout out to Jamie for sending me her, I think it was this book actually that she has, because it ended up being the same thing on this website too. So thank you for sending that to me for this star. Okay, so this new moon is aligned with this star, Nunki. I don't know why that's like such a funny word to me, Nunki. Okay, so it's also called Pelagus, and it's also called Sagittarii. I already forgot. Or is it here, actually? So there's, Sigma Sagittarii, there it is. So this is basically a 2.1 magnitude star, which is on the vein of the arrow of the archer. So it's back here. Now this is what I named this whole live after, because it really just started opening things up. The traditional name Nunki means open sea in Latin, deriving from the Chaldean expression, the edict of the sea. So I thought that really was interesting. It's the energy of Mercury and Jupiter, and it sits at the end of the arrow of the archer's bow. And the sea, it says later in this article, the sea is basically the constellations Aquarius, Capricornus, Delphinus, Pisces, and Pisces Australis. So that's like the water aspect of the sky. I guess I've never heard that before. So this is really interesting because it really got me thinking about why is this on the arrow in the Sagittarius constellation called the open sea? So if that part of the sky is the water, like what is it about the Sagittarius bow and arrow that connects to that? And that really got me thinking, and I kind of went into this whole like Jupiter and Pisces space, because I feel like, let me get out of this so you guys can actually see me. So I'm thinking about Sagittarius and how the bow and arrow, if the end of the arrow is the sea, the ocean, and the water, I'm thinking like Neptune, honestly. If that's the water, what is it about the arrow? What is that supposed to represent? Like, who is the archer? What is the arrow channeling through? What does that mean? The first thing that I thought of when I thought about this was like the sea and what that arrow is like channeling from. Like, I feel like that's the soul. That's just how I feel. And like, I don't know why. And I just see this like massive, expansive sea. It's like very Neptunian, very Poseidon, like this beautiful sea that is getting like pushed, and like the pressure, like that Saturn pressure that we're feeling right now, and is getting put into the actual arrow, which is shooting off somewhere. So I'm just seeing what's coming through about this. I do see like a spiraling kind of like light energy going around that actual arrow as well. And it really made me think about like the Big Bang Theory as well, because the Big Bang Theory says that we kind of started with this explosion, right? And that kind of makes me think about the arrow for some reason, because when you let go of that arrow, it kind of like you're using that pressure and you let go and it pushes forward. That kind of reminded me of like the Big Bang too. So this is like really important, and I couldn't find a whole lot of information on it really, besides like the basics, but because of course a lot of it is hidden too. But I feel like this is really important because I feel like there's some kind of archetypal thing here. There's many layers to it as well. So it's almost kind of like pointing us towards that knowledge, I think, by like taking the energy of water and then pushing it forward into fire. And like water to me is kind of like consciousness. In the case of like Pisces, it's kind of like Christ consciousness, which is divinity. It's that divine, higher minded thing, which is what Sagittarius is. So Sagittarius is not just like some centaur. Like Sagittarius in a way is like almost like that flame that's like taking that higher minded, bigger Christ consciousness, divine energy, mental capacity, the higher mind, the higher self, and is like the one that can take that and like, it's not bringing it down to earth. It's pointing us towards something. it's pointing us towards like a new understanding, like a new way of being, maybe ascension itself. It's expanding our reality, right? Because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Now, I know this is a Capricorn new moon in tropical astrology, but I still think that whatever constellation it's in, like, it's aligned. So yeah, there's something more about the Sagittarius constellation. Taking that consciousness, expanding our reality, literally. Like, that's what that information does. Like, when you connect to divinity, it expands our reality. And it kind of makes sense why Sagittarius and Pisces are ruled by Jupiter in traditional astrology, because Pisces does it through compassion, right? But Sagittarius does it through philosophy, information. That's like the learning axis. So information, religion, spirituality, higher-minded thinking, inspiration. So to me, this is like a really important aspect in the sky. And I do think that somehow this is going to happen to us on this new moon too. We're going to receive some kind of downloads from the past of what is the higher meaning, what is the philosophy, but it's so much more than that. It's like literally taking like our higher self and somehow pushing that through and like bringing it into the reality and doing it in a very Sagittarius way, which is philosophy, which is spirituality, religion, the bigger picture. So that's kind of like where my mind went when I was looking at this. I'm like, that's just weird that it's called the open sea, but it's kind of representing something important. It's representing how like the emotions and the consciousness and how Sagittarius deals with that. And Sagittarius being a mutable sign, it is flexible. And I think you would almost have to be flexible to channel that kind of energy in. Okay. So that's what I have to say about that. Let me know if that resonates at all. Let me just make sure I got everything here. I just thought there's something with that, and I'm sure somebody can expand on it much better than I can, but that's just kind of where I was going. I'm like, this is really important. Let me just look at, and you guys can look with me, because I don't remember everything that was on here, but donkey. So it's the energy of, so it's the energy of Mercury and Jupiter. So that makes sense because that's our mental capacity with Jupiter, expanding the mind, higher thinking, higher-minded thinking, the divine consciousness, the higher self, septiling or channeling in wisdom from the higher dimensions. I like how easily I can tap in with Jupiter and Pisces, just saying. Okay, so let's do a reading. Let's get out of here. I'm going to burn a little bit of sage, which was ethically harvested. I can't believe there are people out there that just like go in the wild and just like rip the sage out of the ground. Apparently they do that. So I got this moss agate slab. It's so grounding that I feel like it's not real. Like, it is real and I can tell by looking at it, but like, I don't know how to explain it. It feels good on my heart chakra though. So I'm going to do a reading and we'll get out of here. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm sorry that the chat wasn't working. Technology breaks around me. It always has. And then I will do the archetypes deck as well. I feel like I need a new deck. I don't know what I'm going to get. I do like the spirit animal one. I really wanted this Morrigan deck, but they're always sold out, and I really want it. So the first card in the bottom is the World. I'm just going to put that off to the side. Okay, so what do we need to know for this new moon? Seeing a lot of like swirls of light when I close my eyes. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So the bottom card is actually the sun. That's always a good sign. don't get that one very often, it seems like. That's actually what I got my first tattoo after, was that card. Okay, so I feel like this is relevant. The Flame. The Mystic. And the Sword. Alright, so in the past we have the Seven of Swords and the Tower. So this is like the far away past. This freaking card keeps coming up, and then this is like the near past. At least it's in the past now, the Tower. So there's something in your guys' life that was really shocking and definitely like rubbed you the wrong way for good reason. I just really strongly feel like you were being deceived by people. People who were stealing your ideas, people who were taking advantage of your kindness and your trust. That's what I feel in the past. And that's coming through really, really, really strong. Not cool, bro. And like the truth was revealed to you in a shocking way, or just like very all at once. I did see the Revelation card while I was shuffling too. So definitely like Aquarius, the star card energy. This could have something to do with Jupiter being in Aquarius too. Like you were just realizing who was your friend and who wasn't. That's how I feel. And in the present is the Queen of Wands. This is a good sign because this is really showing that you've reached some level of maturity. You've learned how to contain and control your passions and to funnel them into what actually lights your fire, like Vesta, you know, the sacred hearth fire. What really gets your creative juices flowing, what you actually enjoy doing. So you've really mastered that part of yourself, and that's amazing. Now the next thing that you have to work on is the High Priestess. So going within. Slowing down, meditating, praying, slowing down to hear those whispers of wisdom in your soul, slowing the heck down. Because whatever was going on in the past for you guys, like, it was chaotic. And I can relate, honestly. It was very chaotic, very uncomfortable. But that had to happen because you had to see the truth in things. You had to see things for what they really were. And the truth hurts, you know, it's never a comfortable process. So you have attained some level of mastery. You are a fiery person and you thrive on fire. She's holding a sunflower. There's lots of lions here. So you're a fiery person, you know, whether you want to admit it or not. So the fact that you've been able to ground that and use it for purposes that don't just burn everybody is amazing. And now the next thing you have to do is slow down even further. So the fire, you know, the fire is grounded. The electricity from this tower moment is grounded. But the next thing you have to do is like really start focusing on your spirituality. And Jupiter and Pisces is the perfect time to do that. I also have the Temperance card reversed. So are you listening to your guides? They are talking to you. They're trying to teach you temperance, how to balance things, how to not take things too far. But are you listening? Are you actually listening? The Flame. So this, to me, it also looks like an upside down V. This has something to do with Vesta, I think. Vesta is the sacred hearth fire. You can't let that fire go out. And the way that you keep it going is by dedicating yourself to something that's important to you and doing things that you love. So that's what I feel from this card personally. Keep the flame going. And it's kind of like a delicate balance, right? Like you can light the candle, but if there's so much as like a gust of wind, it might just go out. So it's something that you have to like pay attention to because no one's really going to do that for you. Like no one's going to tend to that fire because they don't even know, you know, what that is. They don't know what's going on with you, but like you can feel it. You have to like feed the inner child is what I'm feeling. Especially with the Queen of Wands, I'm feeling like a Leo energy, like keep the creativity going, keep the generosity going, the warmth, the love, like that humanness, which is the opposite of Aquarius. Aquarius is very cold, very detached. So maybe we need to balance that a bit with like more Leo-like energy, playful, childlike, literally the sun. Like that's literally what this card is. Just like happy-go-lucky, like focusing on, and I like the red flag too, because that's very like root chakra to me. So like very grounded things, basic things that are just enjoyable. Entertainment is Leo as well. Children, the mystic. This kind of goes with the High Priestess to me. So tapping into your own wisdom, and that's kind of like the higher minded stuff we were talking about. And the sword. This is very, very similar to the Tower card. So we have lightning on this card too. So to me, this is like the truth hurts. Again, the duality. And when this duality gets imbalanced, I feel like that's when Uranus starts coming in, like messing it up, like making you see the things that you don't want to see. And I do feel like Uranus, like, I never really thought of it that way until this exact moment, but Uranus does kind of like bring back the balance in a way, or at least doesn't let you get away with like those delusions and those illusions for too long, because some kind of balance has been broken. And like Aquarius is very balanced, right? They're very, especially compared to Libra, which is very aggressive, and Gemini, which is very changeable. Aquarius is very, very balanced and grounded. So, well, I don't know about grounded. It really depends. Usually they are. It really depends. But I do think that some kind of duality got imbalanced, and you know that now because it was in the past. So, you know, we're ending a huge cycle, like a huge karmic cycle. But the Sun card is here. You know, the potential for happiness is here. And I think that last element that we need right now is to go within, to meditate, to pray, to focus on our spirituality. That's going to bring you a lot of fulfillment. And you're letting go of a lot too, I think. And of course, with any cycle ending, you're just letting go of a lot emotionally too. Okay, so that's all I have to say. I hope you guys have a great new moon. Happy New Year! I know like everyone is so thrilled for this new year for obvious reasons. It's been interesting. I think looking at the astrology, like it is getting better this year. The last 2 years have been rough astrologically and just like with everything that's going on. So I do think that this year is going to be better. We still have a lot to work through, clearly, and a lot will still continue to be revealed while Saturn is in Aquarius, but I think there's like a light at the end of the tunnel, you know? Let me just see. I'm sure it's still frozen. Yeah, it is. Okay. Well, that's okay. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will make the weekly forecast tomorrow because I don't want to do it right now. Okay. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will